As I got another rhyme, another rhythm for y'all to listen. I'm never quitting on my mission. I'm gonna roll with what I'm giving. Got some ambition, this new edition, filling positions. Looking at the void in myself and feeling what's missing. Better watch the way you going, better go in the right direction. In the moment you stressing, but you gon' be counting blessings. And I know that for certain. Keep on working, open curtains. Haters swerving, cause they ain't ready for your final version. Whoa. I'm never gonna give up. Fall down, I just gotta get up, yeah.
You're listening to the Tom Ficklin Show on WNHH-LP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio.
Good morning, everybody. This is Doug House-Slayton, your guest host for Tom Ficklin Radio, here with Karen Jenkins, our guest host as well. Say hello, Karen.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
We're here at 103.5 LP, WNHH-LP, ready to have a conversation gearing up for May, which is National Bike Month. And here locally, Bike Month is celebrated every year by New Haveners and organizations around the city. We're going to learn from some folks from Bike NY, as well as the League of American Bicyclists and local advocate and organizations here in New Haven. So first, I'd like to introduce our guest today and touch base with, first ask Karen Jenkins to say hello. Karen's our from the board of the New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation, and Karen has been a advocate for bike education here in New Haven and elsewhere. I'd love for you just to say hello, Karen. Hi.
Hello, and on behalf of the New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation, we send greetings. We will be hosting our bike education programs starting in May, which is the start of National Bike Month. So please look for announcements, sign up. Our classes are offered at no charge to individuals, and we offer free new helmets to all who need one. Thank you, Doug.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Karen, and welcome. Appreciate Karen for the idea for having this show to launch our Bike Month here. And with that, I'd love to introduce one of our guests, an LCI from Connecticut. An LCI is a league certified instructor, an LCI from Connecticut, Ken Podziba, who's actually the chair of the League of American Bicyclists. Ken, would you like to check in and say hello and introduce yourself?
I'm glad you introduced me as a lead cycling instructor because I'm so proud of it. The reason I got involved with the league was because Bike New York, the organization that I work for, is all about bike education. And it was kind of weird that I'm not a lead cycling instructor myself. But when I spoke at a New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation meeting about a year and a half ago, both Karen and Lita said, hey, why don't you become an LCI? And I said, it's just not the right time. It's always very difficult to schedule. And they made it very easy for me. And I'm very proud that I became an LCI in New Haven. I met some awesome people, two of whom I've asked to become board members, and they will be applying for board membership soon. And hopefully they'll get elected. But New Haven is really, and I don't want to go off in too many tangents, but it's really a model of how a bike organization should be. And I love the fact that they're offering free bike education because so many people can't afford to learn how to ride. And it's a real barrier of entry. And the fact that they're making it for free really tells me that they're doing great stuff. And it's an organization I personally support. And everyone who I meet and I talk about, I say, write a check. In case Karen doesn't hit you up, please, I'm telling you, you should really write a check to New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation. So everyone listening out there, pay it forward. If you know how to ride, you know how to ride safely, pay it forward to people who maybe don't and who can't afford to learn, and by paying somebody to teach you.
Well, yeah, thank you, Ken. That's really great to remind folks. We'll talk about the Gear Up campaign for NHCAP, but I also wanted to check in with you on your professional work, not just your board chair volunteerism, but also, can you tell us a little bit about what Bike New York is up to these days?
We're up to a lot. I mean, it's actually a sad weekend for me because we would be having the 5-borough bike tour this weekend on Sunday. It's going to be a beautiful day on Sunday to kick off Bike Month. Today and tomorrow would have been a bike expo, which attracts over 60,000 people. And the tour, which is the largest in the country of 32,000, would have been on Sunday. So it's a little sad. We're hoping that the city allows us to have it later on in the year. There's an executive order that prevents road events and any kind of street events from happening right now. We're hoping that's lifted, and we're hoping we could still have it. But we're still, very active. And as you see right there, we have Million Mile May, which is a virtual challenge. We're hoping that we get, 1 million people, 1 million miles, and people riding from all over the city, all over the country, all over the world. We have people from 32 states and 14 countries signed up, and it's free. And we're just trying to promote cycling the best way we can. And there's a lot of rewards and prizes. So it's our first time doing this, and already we're getting a lot of traction. So go to our website, bike.nyc, and sign up for Million Mile May. It's free, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Thanks so much, Ken. That's really exciting. And if you're a cycling enthusiast in Connecticut, there is a group of Connecticut LCIs that has an email list and a working group. And they've actually also trying to do a similar effort in Connecticut. So if you're interested in logging your miles and trying to, make collective change by doing this million mile May out of Bike NY or something smaller up here in Connecticut, reach out and we'll link you up with that effort. Thanks so much, Ken. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ken, you've been such a great friend for New Haven for the last few years. Thank you so much for all you've been, you've come to a lot of our organizational efforts in October to celebrate Bike Friendly America. So thank you so much for all of that.
Well, anything I could do, you guys are friends, and you really care deeply about the cycling community and expanding it. You care about safe cycling. You care about a network of protected bike lanes, all the things that we at the League cared so deeply about. So you're really a model organization, and I'm so glad to be associated with you.
That's a great way to tee off Bill Nesper, the current executive director for the League of American Bicyclists, founded in 1880. Love to hear more about what the League's up to, Bill.
Yeah, well, up to a lot, I guess. Yeah, I just want to say thanks for inviting me to this. The League of American Bicyclists, as you just said, has been around since 1880. We've always been an organization of organizations. So it's from afar here in Washington, D.C., we know that we're powered by organizations like the New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation, all of you League cycling instructors, and people across the country who are, 1,000 organizations and bike clubs around the country that are working to make bicycling safe and comfortable and accessible for all people in their community. So, the league, as you said, has been around since 1880. We are, the national organization protecting the rights of people who bike and promoting bicycling for transportation and for good health and the pure joy it brings. I like to say, we know that the bicycle isn't just the best vehicle ever invented. It's a solution to a lot of the challenges that we face in our communities and in our country and our world. And so, yeah, tomorrow is National Bike Month, and the League has been celebrating and promoting National Bike Month since 1956. It's a great time to just get on a bike. I think a lot of times during National Bike Month, I think we advocates in cities have focused a lot on people riding to work. Bike to Work Week is in 3 weeks, so that is very important. Getting people out to bike to work. This year, and I think the last few years, really, our focus has been more on the concept of biking anywhere, biking there. We say, go bike there. And really, that any bike ride matters. Oftentimes, the bike to work trip is the longest trip of somebody's day. And we know that over 50% of trips are 3 miles or less. So that's a 15-minute bike ride for most people, 15 to 20. Let's say if you want to just really take it easy. So we know that a lot of the places that we go are really within a bikeable distance. So we appreciate the work of all the LCIs helping people create the confidence and getting the skills to ride their bikes, and in groups like the New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation for making the community more accessible by bike. We're a membership organization. Go our website. I'm sure we'll get to talk a little bit more about this, bikeleague.org. We're going to be celebrating National Bike Month. We are driven by members, so consider supporting our organization and joining us for the National Bike Challenge during the month of May. So that is on our website and also at nationalbikechallenge.org as well.
Thank you, Bill. And I wanted to ask you, it's, something for my day job, I'm a director of transportation, traffic and parking for the city. And I've been using the fan for a long time with regards to improving and helping support the movement of bike culture and bike life in New Haven. And I was wondering if you wanted to take a moment and talk about, bicycle friendly America and how do we make
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
safe America for cycling,
Yeah, sure. Well, absolutely. So we are one of our flagship programs. You say the fan. That's really interesting. That has gotten that name. This almost looks like a seating chart with the measures for what it takes to the actions that communities and businesses and universities and states can take to be more bike friendly, to welcome cycling, to make it safe and feel safe. So you're very fortunate in your town to have a number of bicycle friendly businesses and you are a bicycle friendly community. This program is really, again, driven by the people at the local level. The league sets standards and we accept applications every year. And everybody that applies for the bicycle friendly community or business university programs gets custom feedback to help you improve. As you say, this fan is a roadmap, really. It's a menu of actions and also outcomes that you're looking for whenever you take these actions. So that's everything from the built environment, making sure Ken mentioned having a network of protected bike lanes and safer streets. We want to make sure that people have safe, comfortable places to ride to the places they want to go. That also includes great bike parking. The second E of this is education. We want to make sure that there is strong education programs in your community, in your businesses, in your workplaces to give people the confidence to ride. That there are encouragement, the 30, that there are events and bike culture changing activities happening. Organizations like yours that are making it possible for people just to get on bikes and to be with other people who are riding bikes. So it's really access to bikes and people to bike with. And the last two E's are equity. You want to make sure that all of the actions that you're taking are reaching everyone in the community. Our mission is to build a bicycle-friendly America for everyone. That for everyone is very important to us, and it should be very important to you whenever you're thinking about the programming that you're delivering, the infrastructure that you're delivering, that it reaches everyone. So equity is that fourth E, and then the fifth E is evaluation. We want to make sure across all of these things that you're doing, that you're measuring what you're doing, that you're taking the public into account, you're planning for all of those programs and actions that you're going to be taking, and that there's a feedback loop. So that's that fan and that program. I hope I'm glad that it's a good, useful tool for you, Doug, and your team and the people there in New Haven, and as it is across for folks across the country. And for those of you who are listening today, go to bikeleague.org and check out some really simple tools to transform your sphere of influence to make it more bike friendly.
Thank you, Bill, and I thank you for hitting my softballs out of the park. I'm really it's really nice to be around folks that have been dedicating their life to something that is so important, that we think that we collectively we can do this, especially with a new vision at the national level and these funding streams at the state level. In Connecticut, we're seeing a lot of growing support for things like a Greenway Trails account, for things like complete streets funding tied to equitable enforcement and other issues that are being unpacked through our Judiciary Committee, through our work in New Haven with Roland Lamar and Gary Winfield. But I wanted to talk about, switch gears here and invite Aaron Good. We'll talk a little bit more about how NHCAT can support sort of the encouragement side and what we have in the education and encouragement E's. But I wanted to introduce Aaron Good, someone who I've been very touched to work with over the years and who's been really working with a number of various programs to encourage and help evaluate really some of these great bike friendly organizations, people like the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail and East Coast Greenway Advisory Board, and also the Learning Corridor and other groups like Home City Cycling. So Aaron, I'd love to hear more about how you as a person, not just each of your organizations, but you tackle the multimodal efforts of trying to get more folks out there. And I'd love to hear more about what you did with counting people and evaluating people on the infrastructure. Could you say hi and introduce yourself, Mark?
Yeah, thanks, Doug. I think the counting people is really important, and I will talk about that a little bit, the work we've been doing with the Connecticut Trail Census. But when the Farmington Canal Trail, Heritage Trail, was built through New Haven about 10 years ago, and shortly thereafter, I founded a group called New Haven Friends of the Farmington Canal Greenway to make sure that this was a resource that could be used by everybody in New Haven, and that we were paying attention to issues of equity and inclusion with this trail. So, everything we do in New Haven Friends of the Farmington Canal is about community building and placemaking around this short but very important section of the trail here in New Haven. And through that work, I've become involved with all kinds of different things. The board of the Farmington Canal Rail to Trail Association, which works regionally, and in fact now is in multiple states because we're working with Massachusetts. I become involved with East Coast Greenway advocacy. I'm on the advisory council, Connecticut Advisory Council for East Coast Greenway, and I become involved with the Connecticut Trail Census, which is a wonderful project. It's the largest ever academic research survey of the usage of multi-use trails in Connecticut. And we're currently monitoring about 24 different trails across the state. And we've been able to generate over the last few years just an amazing data set showing what kind of use all of these trails get. And, it's just been tremendously useful in showing the value of trails and making that case to policymakers and people who hold the purse strings for investment in trails, and also making the case for things like plowing the trail in wintertime as a transportation justice issue, because we have a lot of people in New Haven who use the trail as their primary method of transportation, and they need access to that in the wintertime.
So let me drill in on that, Aaron, if I can ask more about, a lot of people think of trails as a recreational event, something that you might do with the family or something along the weekends, and in a nuclear sort of sense. And can you talk more about the commuting population and, what you've been working with and the numbers you're seeing, year round?
Yeah, so we have a timestamped record from our infrared sensors as part of the trail census of every use of the Farmington Canal Trail since December 2018. And when we look at that data, we see that people using the trail, the commuting patterns tend to be during the week and during what you would consider rush hour for car traffic. So that it's clearly people going to school, to shopping, to work, other kinds of necessary functions, and not just a recreational activity on the weekend, which is what we see on some of our more rural trails in Connecticut. So it's, I think over 50% of our trips, looking at the 2020 data, are for commuting purposes. So I think that, that's a very powerful demonstration that what we're talking about is not just people using the trail for recreation, but it's a primary method of transportation for them.
Yeah, and I think I'd love to hear more about your partner. I know for Rock to Rock as an individual, you were raising money, not for any of your organizations, but for a different organization, a partner organization of the canal. Could you talk a little bit more about the cleanup event you helped host, and just how the canal is an asset being leveraged by various community partners for the benefit of really cycling and sort of the neighborhood?
Yeah, we work with a group, very close partnership with a group called the Community Placemaking and Engagement Network. And we're currently helping to raise money for CPEN through something called the Great Give, which is a big fundraiser here in New Haven for nonprofit groups. And we did help them raise some money for a Rock to Rock Earth Day ride, which is a ride that took place last week. And working with CPEN and its visionary founder, Doreen Abubakar, has really, helped us, be able to do the work we want to do around community building, around placemaking, around expanding the definition of who the streets are for, who trails are for, and what the cycling community looks like. So, we do all, you can see on the screen here, we do a lot of bike programs, bike education programs. A few weeks ago, April 10th, for Rock to Rock Day of Service, we were out tuning up bikes for all the neighborhood kids. So they'll be able to ride this summer. We're doing stewardship. A lot of what we do is stewardship of these public spaces, in particular, this one we call the Learning Corridor, fixing it up. This used to be a place called the Mud Hole, which was kind of notorious in the community for blight and for being the site of a lot of different illicit activities and drug dealing and things like that. Now we've cleaned it up and we made it a beautiful space for these bike programs, for bike education, as well as community festivals and other community programming of all kinds. So that it's really been a wonderful partnership. And having the trail there and having bikes there now too. We have about 25 bikes in a storage container there that enables us to do these bike programs every Saturday during the spring and summer. It's been a wonderful partnership, and I think we've been able to accomplish a lot in New Hallville, which is really one of our underserved neighborhoods here in New Haven.
And Aaron, I'm going to pivot and take your lead and ask Karen about some of the work that NHCAT's been able to do in 2020 through a pandemic. And Ken and I are the very fortunate recipients of the work that NHCAT and Meta Highsmith, who's watching us and has producing education. But Aaron, on your as the ending of your introduction, can you provide a update on any construction for the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail Phase 4 that the community has, and any dreams of the federal dollars that may or may not exist in the future for trail systems or bike ped infrastructure? Yeah,
well, I was hoping Pete Buttigieg would be on this radio show with us today.
Secretary Buttigieg to you, sir.
Yeah, Secretary Pete. Yeah, right. But it's, Farmington Canal Phase 4 is something we've been eagerly awaiting for a few years now. This is the completion of the last remaining section of the Farmington Canal here. It's a critical link in the East Coast Greenway. We're hoping to get that done. Our fingers are crossed. I think we're going to go out to construction on that this year. So it'll probably be done next year. And it'll be great to have that additional amenity here in New Haven. And I think, it's one of the things the East Coast Greenway has been talking about with the American Rescue Plan and the American Jobs Plan is this Greenway stimulus, which would be a $10 billion investment in building cycling networks and greenways all across the country. And according to the numbers they've run, create 170,000 jobs and have about a 10-to-1 return on investment. I think, as we know, and bike infrastructure projects, I think, create 11.4 local jobs for each dollar spent, and that's a lot more than road projects. And pedestrian projects is the same. There's a University of Massachusetts study on this. So I mean, I think all of these investments, like Farmington Canal Phase 4, like closing the other gaps in the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail in Southington and Plainville, all of these have enormous return on investment in terms of jobs, in terms of bringing in tourism dollars and economic development locally. So we're hoping for a lot more of that under Secretary Buttigieg. We're very excited about having him. He's a breath of fresh air. I have not been as excited about a new transportation director since Doug took over here in New Haven in 2014.
Well, thank you for that, Aaron. And for you and for others, there is a Edgewood Avenue Bikeway being, groundbreaking next Thursday at 11:30 a.m. It's finally happening. The Edgewood Avenue Bikeway is here, but these investments in the trail systems not only make it possible to bike, but also just to walk. And our city, as a walkable city, is always so strong. For every bike city is a walkable city. Sorry to get on my soapbox there, but I wanted to switch over to Karen Jenkins, and something you said, Aaron, was working with the CPEN and working with folks, people that are possibly are being overlooked in other ways. I would love to ask Karen to talk about the work of NHCAT and the work in New Haven about bringing bike education in an equitable fashion to our city.
Thank you very much, Doug. Some of you may know I'm a former board chair of the League of American Bicyclists and also a league cycling instructor, which if you don't know, it's the league that has the only nationally recognized program to certify people, experienced cyclists, as cycling instructors. And like Ken, I'm very proud. Among my many accomplishments, I'm most proud of being an LCI. So about 3 years ago, a group of us founded the New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation. We're a very new organization, and we made the decision early on to model ourselves after Bike New York and offer our bike education classes to individuals at no charge. And what we found is that all of our classes have been diverse. Every single class we offered was full. In fact, we generated waiting lists. We found that people want to ride their bicycles, but often have no access to bike education. They don't know how to ride in the streets. And so we actually, despite COVID, we managed to offer all of our classes last summer. We didn't cancel one. We, of course, practiced social distancing. But those of us who ride bikes were not surprised when the bike had a resurgence of interest due to COVID. People didn't necessarily want to get on bikes or buses, or there was the schedules might not have been as robust as they were before COVID. So we were really able to step forward and make sure that we're giving bike education classes to people. This year, we are aiming to reach more people in less well-served, historically less well-served neighborhoods. We want to reach incarcerated people. We want to reach more women and seniors. And so we have a partnership with a number of organizations in New Haven to get to their constituents. And I also want to mention that we have a campaign through the Great Give, as CPEN does. So if you log on to the Great Give or just the Great Give, we ask that you make a donation. We pay our LCIs who teach more than a living wage. We think that they bring a valuable service and provide excellent education classes. And we also want to say that it's thanks to our work with the New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation that we've been involved in a number of other activities, including getting ready to propose a ciclovia. We started working with the city of New Haven, and we want all the streets to close in New Haven, maybe 3 or 4 Sundays in 2022, to make sure that everybody is out on the streets, not just in vehicles, but foot traffic, scooters, not motor vehicles, not motorized scooters, dancing, singing in the streets, pushing their wheelchairs, baby strollers. So I'm very pleased that Doug, who is Director of Transportation, Traffic and Parking, is leading that effort to get our New Haven ciclovia up and going. So thank you, Doug.
You're welcome, Karen. And the more that we build support and efforts like what NHCAT's doing right now with Gear Up, the first part-time bike education coordinator, dedicated bike education staff in the city of New Haven. This is very exciting stuff. Trying to take that next leap from, one level of bike culture to the next. And Bill, I don't know if, if you can touch base on the part of the staffing and sort of how do cities and communities sort of take that next leap? We're stuck at a level, not stuck. We're silver, I guess, right? How does a community go from honorable mention to bronze to silver to gold? And I guess we can go over our report card if you want. That might be one place to help.
Sure.
But.
Yeah, we could do that. I think more than just the staffing, it's budgets really show you where what your goals are, right? So we at the league are working at the national level to make sure that, I guess a lot of people don't know, like that bike lane that shows up on your street, doesn't just show up there. There's Doug, there's the advocacy organization pushing for it. There's a plan, hopefully, that has brought in community input. So of course, with the bicycle friendly community program, we're trying to show what the best practices are on those things. But but a lot of the funding that comes to build those bike lanes is coming from federal sources that go then to the state, that then come down to the local level. So the league is the national, and has been the national organization since the 1880s, raising the voices for better bicycling on Capitol Hill and with the administration. As Aaron said, we do have a great the Secretary Pete is saying a lot of the right things. We're very hopeful for a reauthorization of the transportation bill. I won't get into the weeds with the policy stuff, but in the funding. But the funding usually comes from these transportation bills. Okay, and so what we're asking for is more investment that is going to come down to your state, and more local control, that you at the local level will have more ability to build the kinds of safe, welcoming, great bicycling infrastructure that serves people that walk, that serves people that drive, that serves people that are going to go take transit, and is safe for everyone, and it makes your community better. So that's the way that the money flows, and that it goes and becomes a bike lane or a trail or bike parking, bicycling education classes and such. So I think it's important that you know that, and that it really requires, to do this right, having a group like the Coalition for Active Transportation that is building political support, building the political will, because Doug, does his job, right? But you need the leadership to be saying in your community, whatever community, saying, these are our priorities. We think in order to reach our climate goals, to reach our job creation goals, to reach our livability goals, to reach our equity goals, to reach our health goals, bicycling is part of the solution for those things. And so we as an organization are thrilled when you have an organization such as yours helping build that political will at the local level. Of course, creating league cycling instructors, getting people engaged, getting people on bikes, letting them see that this isn't just some special interest. This is a community interest to do this sort of thing. So to move from silver to gold, so right now there are almost 500 bicycle-friendly communities around the country. And no surprise that the vast majority of them are bronzes. And so when you're thinking about a bronze level community, you're doing things across all of those E's that I mentioned earlier. You're doing the infrastructure, you're having events, you have some education going on. When you're moving to silver and beyond, we start looking at outcomes a little bit more closely. So we want to know that there are people riding bikes regularly, that those classes are happening regularly, that it's working. To move to gold, it's a big jump. The average gold level bicycle friendly community, I believe, has over 4% ridership. Right now, I think New Haven, and that's biking to work. Right now, New Haven, I believe, on your last report card, is at about 3%, which is really impressive, right? But you need to make that jump. In order to make that jump, I think it means more of your streets, especially the streets that might not feel comfortable to ride on for most people, or to get across. You're going to have to address some of those. The low-hanging fruit is mostly gone. I think in order to jump to gold and beyond, you're going to have to continue to make investments in your street network to make those places comfortable for people to move on and to move across. Because the barriers to bicycling, most of our communities have great street networks. You can make people feel more comfortable through bicycling education, but at a certain point, communities have to address these gaps in their all ages and abilities bicycling network.
That's it, and that's a great shift. Something that Aaron mentioned was Safe Routes for All, and something the department's working on is a citywide active transportation plan. So if anybody is listening, we're just showing the saferoutesforall.com website up, but it's ongoing right now in 2021. We're having May 13th, May 15th, our next walking and biking sessions to walk around from Fairhaven Library, 4 p.m. on May the 13th, and Dixwell Library and Westville Library on May the 15th. And really what we're asking folks is, how do we make your commute better? With 30% of households having no access to a vehicle in New Haven, we have 20% of people walking and biking to work. And so what the Safe Routes for All plan is really trying to do is get as many data endpoints to try and map out where we need to take this, because I wanted to show you the existing bike lane facilities, you know, it's a ruse. It's a lie. It's all sharrows. I mean, it's 50% sharrows. So it's none of it's a real network. And our efforts are trying to connect these things. But Bill's exactly right that there's, you know, all of the way that we spend our public dollars, everything about this is political. And if you don't think it is, don't bother me with your time, because you know, all of this is politics. And so we need the will. We need to train the people to make sure that the electeds and the people that are making the decisions, the gatekeepers like myself, know the priorities and know what's really killing people. Ken, what are your thoughts on how's New York, you know, building through education? Are you seeing Bike NY or Bike New York having an impact on infrastructure, and then also in that, you know, creating cyclists then creates demand, which creates politicians? Are you seeing politicians that are starting to lead the way?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that you said gatekeepers like yourself can only do so much. You need advocates, because that's what New York City public officials tell us. For years, Bike New York wasn't advocating. And the commissioners of agencies would say, hey, Ken, in order for us to get our jobs done, you need to make the noise and we'll be part of the solution. We'll create the solutions, but we need enough people advocating so that we have a base of people who want things done. And we've been advocating, and we've been advocating for a network of protected bike lanes, for more street equity. We need to finally get rid of all these cars that are parked all day on streets when, you know, not enough people could walk. You know, you go to Midtown and people are walking on the streets and the bike lanes because there's not enough sidewalk space. There's, you know, and we have bike lanes. We have a big network of bike lanes, but it's useless sometimes because they're not connected. So you could be riding on a bike lane and then all of a sudden you're like in no man's land, and some people are afraid. And we teach people at Bike New York how to ride in traffic with cars and not to be afraid. But no matter what we do, there's going to be a lot of people out there who will not ride in the streets of a city like New York. So we really need the infrastructure.
That's exactly, yeah.
Ken, you know, every day we have, you know, I loved hearing Aaron's presentation. We have 14 what we call community bike education centers in parks throughout the city, where the city gives us free space. We have a container of bikes, 35 bikes. We have over 2,000 volunteers that help us, and we pay LCIs. And we have all these classes. We teach adults how to ride, kids how to ride. We have summer camp for underserved kids. We have after school programs for underserved kids. And the program that I'm most proud of right now is a new initiative where I'm training formerly incarcerated New Yorkers to become bike mechanics, and City Bike is hiring them. So we're giving people a second chance, and it feels really good. The success has been awesome. We're continuing it. This week we started a new class. So it's really great to see. And we'd like programs like this to go national. We want other cities to see what we're doing, just like we like to borrow what other cities are doing that we're not doing, but we need to exchange ideas better. And that's what the league's all about.
Thank you. That's a great point. And we'll just pause for a station identification. For those of you listening, this is WNHHLP 103.5 FM community radio here in New Haven. I want to thank everyone for joining us again. Bill Nesper, Executive Director for the League of American Bicyclists, Ken Pudziba, the Executive Director for Bike New York, Aaron Good, consummate advocate and perennial board member for a number of organizations, and we'll link in the chats, and Karen Jenkins, founding board member of the New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation. Again, I'm Doug Houslade, and we're taking over for Tom Ficklin here. We're hoping to try and get this radio program back and keep going, because, you know, next up, we do have to talk about being a walking city. I think, Bill, you really struck a chord with, we've got to be able to get the low-hanging fruits done. And, you know, one of those low-hanging fruits I see is, if you're a walkable city, you're a bikeable city. And that's a baseline. That's a baseline. It's one of those, it's also, if you're a walkable city, it's a good transit city as well. It's one of those sort of, you got to get the basics done. And I'm sharing with you a slide, I think right now, showing an intersection database from New Haven of just, you know, what turns out to be a bell curve of intersections in good, poor, moderate, and fair conditions. But more importantly, average of 2 traffic lights per neighborhoods don't have pedestrian signals. We don't, you know, while we're installing bike signals on Edgewood Avenue, it's 12 traffic signals will get bike signals. 11 of those traffic signals will also be getting pedestrian signals for the first time, and it's 2021, and it's not okay. We're seeing intersections with poor sidewalks on the map on a graphic, and if you're not familiar, you can go to saferoutesforall.com and take a look. Intersections with no crosswalks. Our city's very old. My house is 1851. It's going to take all of my income for the rest of my life to maintain, but some of the newer parts of the city here are represented by the shaded areas that have no crosswalks, let alone no sidewalks like up in West Rock and in Fairhaven Heights. But one thing for Bike Month kicking off tomorrow, and something that we all need to be doing more of, is building more infrastructure. Karen, can you talk a little bit about how Cyclovia is, how you see and envision a Cyclovia as a conversation point, for more infrastructure or for more bike culture and education in New Haven?
Well, a Ciclovia is a community-wide activity. The most famous one is Bogota, Colombia, where I believe they close down nearly 40 miles of roadway every Sunday to motorized traffic and open them to people. And Ciclovias have become more popular throughout the world, largely because it promotes not only community engagement and involvement in the streets, but it also encourages economic development as businesses join in. They also see that more foot traffic brings more business than do cars. And it provides a mechanism for open streets events, or Ciclovia provides a mechanism for a city to bring communities together, as people will move across the city and visit communities they might not have visited before. So we're really looking forward to getting our Ciclovia going in New Haven and engaging the entire community so that everyone takes the time, has the ability to get out onto the streets with no motorized traffic. I also want to say, and while I don't want to sort of abruptly move away from the Ciclovia, which I happen very dear to my heart, the other thing we're doing at the New Haven Coalition for Active Transportation, we're ready to start integrating bike education into the curriculum of all New Haven public schools and private schools. We believe that children who ride bicycles are healthier, they're happier, they grow up to be good advocates for safe communities, safe cities. They also become better motorists if they decide to have a car, but as we move forward, maybe nobody will have a car. So our goal, our long-term goal, but we're ready, is to start working with the New Haven public schools and all private schools so that every child will have bike education at a number of points between K through 12, that it becomes part of the curriculum, that teaching young people to ride bikes, to ride safely, is a really important part of their education, their health, and their well-being. Thank you, Doug.
No, of course, and thank you for that. And I think one of those, we've got about 9 minutes left, and I think let's pivot to the future really fast. Thinking about, it's 2021, April 30th. So at the end of May, if you can think through what you'd like to see in the next month for Bike Month, for you individually or for the world. And then let's fast forward, after the next round of federal dollars starts coming through, what are you most interested in exploring for your community or for, cycling in general, I think. And Aaron, I might ask you to start first. So, the question here, May, and then, in 3 years, what do you want to see?
Yeah, well, a few things. One, I saw a picture on Twitter this morning of the work, some of the civil work going on in the Edgewood cycle track. So I'm very eager to get over there and see the progress that's being made on that. That is one of the, spines of our bike ped network in New Haven, along with the Farmington Canal. So it's great to see that getting going, and it's wonderful to see it happening during Bike Month. I'm hoping maybe this month we can also see the work start on Farmington Canal Phase 4. I think that would be a great Bike Month gift. I'm also working on completing our latest tour for Walk New Haven, cultural heritage tours. This is another way of encouraging people to get out and walk and bike our streets through an exploration of some of our historic neighborhoods here in New Haven. We've already done 4 different walk and bike tours for four neighborhoods here in New Haven. We're currently working on our 5th. So That is forthcoming very, very soon. And then the other thing is just some legislative things that are going on. We have a bill that we're really trying to get passed in the state legislature, HB 5429. This is a bike and pedestrian safety bill that sets up a Vision Zero Council, allows our municipalities to set their own speed limits. It enhances some of the fines and charges for certain violations for reckless driving. And it also has some stuff in there that helps us raise money for trails as well through commemorative license plates. So really hoping to get that passed. I think we have a good shot, but that would be a wonderful present for Bike Month. There's also some other legislation about enabling our electric vehicle rebate program to include electric bikes. That's also a legislative priority. And, there's also some very important zoning reform bills that we have in the legislature, like SB 1024, that would help to desegregate Connecticut and also create more density and better conditions for walking and biking and for transit, because as we know, the best transportation policy is a really good land use policy. So I would love to see some of those legislative priorities get passed in the next month.
Thank you, Aaron. That's great. And big month. If you keep calling your elected representatives, it might be even a bigger month come June when we have a lot of these bills over the finish line. So advocacy 101, make sure your representatives know how you feel about the topics in front of them for voting. One of the biggest things that we are really supporting in the city of New Haven is using the electric rebate system for electric bikes. I think the bang for buck would be so impactful for a community like New Haven, and really anybody who's only promoting electric vehicles is forgetting that 30% of households in Connecticut and New Haven have no vehicle in the first place, and vehicles are wicked expensive just to maintain. But that being said, thankfully electric ones are cheaper, even cheaper than an electric bicycle. Anyway, moving on to Ken. Ken, you're up. What's big for Bike Month, and what's big for Secretary Pete?
Well, there's a lot big for Bike Month. As we mentioned, Million Mile May, we have a foodie fondo coming up this month, and we're going to go to all these Asian restaurants throughout the city, and we're raising awareness and money to fight Asian hate. So that's a big deal for us. I also want to touch upon the future. Karen mentioned bike education in schools. What I'd like to see for the future is universal bike education. We are now in all 5 boroughs, 7th grade middle school classes, but we're at the mercy of the principals. And what we want to advocate for, we want the chancellor to mandate that every child in New York City in a public school that wants to learn how to ride and learn how to ride safely gets that opportunity, and we want to do it. So that's what we're going to be fighting for. There's a lot going on. We have a lot of local rides. Everyone go to bike.nyc, and we have a bike film festival this month. We're partnering with Transportation Alternatives to raise awareness and money. So go to our website, check us out, and we look forward to the future. I want to mention that Bike Month was founded in 1956 by the League of American Bicyclists. So it's going to be 65 years old, which is incredible, but it has no, I can assure you, it has no, it's not going to retire anytime soon. It's only going to get bigger and stronger. And we have more people cycling. We have a bicycle shop in Brooklyn called Recycle Bicycle, and where we take refurbished bikes, we sell them, we salvage them from the waste stream, and we can't keep them off the floor. And so bicycling is booming in the city. And that's what we want to keep seeing. Less cars, more bikes.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Karen, we're going to wrap up with you, but I'm going to turn it to Bill next. That way we can land on our NHCAT board prerogative fundraising as the ending. Thank you, Bill. Go, you're next.
Yeah, and I'll be fast. Yeah, so 2 things. For right now, I just want to encourage folks to, as Ken said, Bike Month is 65 years old. This Sunday, Sunday, May 2nd, and from now on, the first Sunday of every May is now National Ride a Bike Day. So no pressure other than riding a bike somewhere, okay? Wherever you want to go. So and if you want to share out through social media, #Bike Day. We're at Bike League. That's our hashtag. Moving forward, the future, I want you to have more money and more investments from the federal level down to the local level. So engage with us at bikeleague.org. Sign up for our newsletter and be ready to email your members of Congress when it's time to get this multi-year transportation reauthorization bill that is going to lead to helping Doug and the whole team there get more things on the ground in the future.
Thanks, Bill. That's great. And I've got your at Bike League is your Twitter account.
Yep.
Please engage with them. A wonderful organization who's helping me and others in my field trying to get things done. So with that, I'll say that May is Safe Routes for All month. So it is Bike Month. So there's some biking opportunities for the Safe Routes for All plan. So for the city, come talk to us. But more importantly, Karen, why don't you bring us home with NHCAT and Karen Jenkins for Bike Month in the future?
So what we'd like immediately is for everyone to take a bicycle education class. We think that more people need to learn to ride their bikes safely, confidently on the streets. That's what I'd like to see during the month of May and through the summer. You can help us by going to the Great Give, look us up, make a donation, because we do not charge individuals. We think that we are all equally vulnerable on the road, and therefore we think we should all have bicycle education classes. My biggest dream is I'm going to wake up one morning and I-91 between New Haven and Hartford is going to be closed to motorized traffic, and we're all going to be riding to Hartford or Hartford to here to see one another on I-91. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. With that, we'll check back in a couple of bike months to see what's happened since today, April 30th, 2021. And from us in New Haven, make sure you get out and ride that bike this Sunday, May 2nd. And with that, Harry, why don't you play us out and take us away? I wonder if Harry's ready for that. Just remember, this is WNHH LP 103.5 FM, community radio from New Haven Independent.
Yeah. As I got another rhyme, another rhythm for y'all to listen. I'm never quitting on my mission. I'ma roll with what I'm giving. Got some ambition, this new edition, filling positions. Looking at the void in myself and feeling what's missing. Better watch the way you going, better go in the right direction. In the moment you stressing, but you gon' be counting blessings. And I know that for certain. Keep on working, open curtains, haters swerving, cause they ain't ready for your final version. Whoa. I'm never gonna give up, fall down, I just gotta get up, yeah. Cause this is my road. Let's camera action, I'm ready to go. I'm never gonna give up, fall down, I just gotta get up, yeah.